as pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and RemarkableResults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Hey, let me welcome my panel. This is going to be one of the most interesting podcasts I think I'm kind of going to do in the summer of 2024. With me is Darnell Epps, a recent graduate of Yale Law School and the founder and CEO of Thurgood Industries. Hello, Darnell.
Hello. Great to be here, Carm.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Great story coming at you. And Andy Bizub, owner and chief strategy officer, Midwest Performance Cars. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Carm. How you doing? Good to see you, Darnell.
Great to see you.
So look, Andy calls me and he says, Carm, I just saw this incredible interview, read this great article on Darnell Epps. We got to have him on the podcast because so much of what happened with him has relevancy to essential skilled trades, which is what the heck we do. We are one of the most important skilled trades because if we own it and it's in our home, or we eat it and it's in our belly, transportation got it to us. A refresher on the power of skilled trades, what we're going to talk about. So I want to kind of link you or hook you into this. A unique perspective from Darnell, since he's a lawyer and he also went to skilled trades. This is just the coolest story. We want to talk about and where Darnell is passionate about how do we involve parents in getting things going on with skilled trades and what we can do. So let me start out by saying, Darnell, you walked down and got your diploma at Yale Law School with your two kids. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was a wonderful, memorable experience to walk across the commencement stage and receive my Doctor of Law diploma with my daughter, who is one, and my 6-year-old son with me. You know, just statistically, going to Yale was not something that was written for people in the script, for people who grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, out in Brooklyn, New York, in the housing project. So just being there was a tremendous achievement, accomplishment, and to have my kids see me in that moment is something I'll never forget, and something they'll never forget. So it was a great experience.
What a wonderful story. You said somebody who grew up in Brooklyn. So what's the big deal with that?
Well, Brooklyn, I mean, I grew up in an era when, you had Brooklyn was not gentrified Brooklyn that it is today, home of the Brooklyn Nets. Back then it was the New Jersey Nets, and Brooklyn had no basketball team. And, it was a different environment. I grew up in a tough neighborhood, made some poor choices myself as a kid, and found myself ensnared by the legal system, and had to really turn my life around through college and education, having taken my first college course while I was in the legal system, right? And had that opportunity to really pursue my education further on the outside when I matriculated at Cornell and eventually went to Yale. So it was a different time, and so to be where I'm at today and to be able to share my experiences and my story with others in a way that's inspirational and can help them in their endeavors, it's a great privilege, great opportunity, and I recognize that. And a lot of people help me, get to where I'm at, and I look to pay that forward to others too. So, yeah.
Thank you for the update. It was Andy who heard this story and said, my God, Carm, we've got to have Darnell on an episode because the story is perfect. And the connecting part of the story is you, Darnell, going to Lincoln Tech. And again, remind me, was this after the law degree, during it, before?
It was during my clinical work with the Law and Racial Justice Center and Professor James Foreman, those who might not know him, he's the son of James Foreman Sr., who led the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee during the Civil Rights Movement in the mid-20th century. But he's he was my professor at Yale, my clinical professor. And a lot of the work I was doing within the community there to promote legal literacy in low-income neighborhoods really brought me in close proximity to people who were in need of good-paying jobs. And they didn't want to work in a gig economy. They wanted jobs with benefits that paid a great wage, could accelerate them into the middle class. And it was they just weren't seeing them. And, this was a city, despite Yale having tremendous wealth, that had a poverty rate of 26% and a median household income of $42,000. So it resonated with me. And I ended up meeting over a dinner an investor who invested in startups at the intersection of IT and manufacturing. And I overheard him talking about a skills gap and how they couldn't fill top of the funnel positions across tons of companies, from Penn Engineering to Watlow to Dexter. And the boomers were retiring from the profession. There were these vacancies they couldn't fill, and these were good paying jobs. And I was like, wow, why isn't the message getting across to the people I interact with every day in my clinical work, right? I had a couple of follow-up conversations with him, Matt Blodgett, who also he's a social entrepreneur as well. He has a nonprofit called Put Me In, which provides funding for athletic programming to children with incarcerated parents. One of their ambassadors is Julian Edelman from the New England Patriots. I ended up meeting Julian Edelman during that time as well, and didn't realize how short Julian Edelman was until I stood next to him. And I was like, oh, I could have tackled this guy on the football field. But no. So I ended up, going on a tour of several factories throughout the Midwest with a gentleman named Jacob Ruttenberg, who was also an investor, but his family owned Tinicum, which had a portfolio of manufacturing companies throughout the U.S., from Penn Engineering to Watlow and Dexter, two of the companies that I mentioned earlier. And we went and spoke with some of the HR folks out in Chicago and at some of the other factories. And I just really heard firsthand from them how desperate they were to find entry-level talent. And it was eye-opening to me. So why I went to Lincoln Tech was because I really didn't understand what the skills were that employers were looking for. And I wasn't going to advocate for people to get on assembly lines, and I needed to really grasp what it was that these employers were looking for. And I enrolled in a machining program and ended up getting a diploma in manufacturing technology and CNC machining. And then I eventually did a 1-month residency at the Gene Haas E. Kentucky Advanced Manufacturing Institute in Eastern Kentucky, which is in Paintsville. So the executive director, Kathy Walker, runs a nonprofit training boot camp that covers everything from machining to robotics and machine industrial vision technology. 100% job placement rate. Not only is it tuition free, but the trainees will receive a stipend of $1,700 a month. And it was really initially launched to upskill dislocated coal workers in Appalachia. And I'm from Brooklyn, obviously, never been to Appalachia. I didn't know what to expect, but I was treated with tremendous hospitality. It was a great experience for me to understand how intellectually stimulating some of this work is that's being done in Industry 4.0. And I felt like, how do we extend these careers to others? So, I started thinking about how do we make these connections with big industry and communities where you have these hidden pockets of talent. I mean, think of Eastern Kentucky. I met former coal miners who were working in a coal mine for 25 years. And now we're teaching MasterCam, and we're like the best CAD/CAM instructors that I had ever met. Tapping into those hidden pockets of talented workers was something I wanted to do. I felt like, well, maybe I could launch a recruitment company here through software that helps ease that for employers and helps be that kind of substrate, that bridge.
It's a great story, Darnell. Thank you so much for Andy. He mentions a bunch of things in the last few minutes here. Boomers retiring, skilled trades. Think of the necessity that a CNC operator has to be. There's probably nothing in my studio here that didn't have a CNC or a die or something, some kind of cool little widget that was made by a computer with a person with a degree like that. And I find the other thing fascinating, Andy, I don't know where we could go with this thing, but a boot camp. What an idea. Now, we have apprentice programs in our industry where we want to bring in young people, veterans, and teach them over the course of a couple of years how to be a great mechanical or technology specialist in our skilled trade. But boy, boomers retiring, we need so many workers in our industry, Andy.
It's projected that we're going to need about 70,000 automotive technicians every year for the next 10 years. So you're talking 750,000 of a million bodies that you have to get skilled, trained people into those positions. So when I heard Darnell's story and then read further about what his life story and how he got to where he is, I saw so many parallels. Like my dad was a moonlighting machinist for my uncle who owned a machine shop. That enabled all three of myself and my two sisters to go to Catholic grade school and Catholic high school. That set the course of our three lives. There is so much talent that is just waiting to be unlocked in our urban centers around this country. This is my second career. I had that first career in finance. That was great. But that career was all about how much money can I make today, this week, this month, this year for me. Being in the automotive industry now for 10 years, I've got this opportunity to try to change the landscape that is going to benefit not just our industry. That's a selfish reason. I'd love to be able to hire more technicians, but really provide an avenue for people who are not traditional learners. I have 3 kids. Both of my boys are non-traditional learners. My oldest really worked like heck to get middling grades and graduate from college, and that was awesome. But he had to work like a dog. It didn't come naturally to him. My youngest, he's an incredible visual learner, but he got so frustrated with school that he enlisted in the Army right after high school. It was a perfect place for him to go. But we need to have those avenues for the many people that our traditional education system has failed them completely, because they're still teaching kids the same way as 50 years ago when I was in school. It's crazy. That has not progressed. And what Darnell went through, and then seeing that, then going and getting a Yale law degree, and then seeing that technical side to add into it, it's so inspirational. And it is such a great example for being able to show people that there are a million ways to forge your path in the world. And a lot of the people that we're talking about, they don't see those pathways. They just don't, they're not in a position where anyone has been able to put that in front of them. And the more that I can do anything to put that vision in front and those opportunities, I'm 100% on board.
Darnell's building a bridge. That's kind of what I'm getting from these last 10 minutes coming out of Yale, getting involved in skilled trades. You're building a bridge. But more importantly, Darnell, and I know you're so passionate about this, we've got to get to the parents. We've got to get to the school systems.
Yeah, totally. We have to get to the kitchen table because, a lot of times parents are making the decisions for their kids. And we've become a one-track society in some ways, and thinking like it's either college or you're a failure, right? You get a degree, or, that life has passed you by. That's just not true. There are so many, like Andy mentioned, opportunities in alternative pathways that can provide in a way that's even better than what you would have, your earnings would have been had you gone to college. I think of the BMW STEP program that's offered or the Tesla Start program that's offered through Lincoln Tech. There are many other, automotive technology programs in boot camps that, offer those training opportunities to people that can lead to great careers. And not everybody wants to learn from a book. Some people want to learn with their hands. Some people have high mechanical aptitude. It's a different learning process, I'll tell you that. Like, I went from reading case law, very kind of not laid back, but very reading intensive kind of profession that lawyering is, at least the law school experience is, to then having to really make calculations, hop on machines, troubleshoot problems, think critically about manufacturing processes while I was working on some of these Haas machines. And that wasn't something I was just immediately comfortable with, right? I was like, wow, I haven't done this kind of work at all. Like, this is a different learning experience, but it was great for me to really get a sense of that. And then to understand how intellectually stimulating this work can be, and the craftsmanship and the pride and I just want to celebrate the workers. I want to celebrate what's done in this space, right? And I want more people to be aware of it. I mean, when I grew up, people were encouraged to spend unwisely their disposable income on a BMW, right? On something that would depreciate, but not how to make it, right? Not how it's made, right? Like, why don't we change that paradigm a bit? There's so many young people that I think would be
wait a minute, stop it. So instead of buying one, go make one.
Go make one. Understand how it's built, right? That's where the real value is, where the real education is, not simply just buying one, right? And
Hey, Apex 2024 registration is now open at aapexshow.com. Now, Apex has an incredible value for the service professional, shop owner, technician, and service advisor. Joe's Garage is your place to hang out with 10 working bays and real live working conditions. You'll find special seminars on Audi, VW, BMW, Mercedes, Tesla, under-the-hood diagnostics, advanced drivability, ADAS calibration, transmission training from ATRA, and more. Business and sales training on mastering organizational skills, time management, leading your team, and driving profits, among others. This year, the training courses are some of the best offered ever with the industry's best and brightest trainers and coaches. This year's Apex 2024 will have more product demos, trending training, marketing and social media support to help you grow your career, sales, and profits. Remember, if you earn your living in the aftermarket, then Apex is the expo for you. Continue listening as we bring you the latest from Apex 2024 and save the date, November 5th through the 7th. Don't hesitate. Go to aapexshow.com. Hey, let's face it. Your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. Napa Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NapaTrax, that's NapaTracs.com. Hey, ever wonder how your labor rate compares to your market and state? You now have a site where you can confidentially upload your rate and see other labor rates published in your market. LaborRateTracker.com is an important site to know about. Currently, the database has over 1,000 shops participating and growing every day. But there's more to setting your rates than finding out what others charge. You should look at the labor rates in your state and town to gain a complete picture of the labor rate landscape. Hey, it's easy. Get market intelligence like never before at LaborRateTracker.com. Where are we evaluating the capabilities, the learning capabilities of our kids today, of our students today? Are the parents want to be involved, or is it all about, I think, oh my God, I think you're going to be, I've always had a vision. You came out of the womb, you're in my hands. This is going to be a CPA, a lawyer, a nurse, a doctor. And all of a sudden their real world happens upon us, and we see that they're kinesthetic learners, and they learn with their hands, and they're so good at it, we don't know what to do next.
So it's funny that you bring that up, because when I graduated from high school, by default, went to college. I went to University of Illinois at Chicago in my first year. And my dad said, why don't you go? I had no idea what. And he was like, why don't you go into engineering? That's a really good field. He was really good with math, and I was pretty good with math. And so by default, I went into engineering. Well, between freshman and sophomore year of high school, of college, I started working at the Board of Trade part-time so I could keep, because I was paying for my own college. And it took about a month to fall in love with that business, the trading business. And I dropped out of college. So I'm a college dropout coming out of engineering that my dad suggested would be a good thing. And going into, at 18 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with the bulk of my life. I was super lucky. There's a ton of people out there who are not lucky like that. The other thing, the irony is not lost on me that in Darnell's case, he has a Yale law degree and he has the Lincoln Tech, the accreditation, right? So Goldman Sachs Investment Research did a report in 2023 to quantify the jobs with the highest likelihood and lowest likelihood of being lost to automation. The second highest likelihood of jobs being lost to automation is legal. The second lowest is in technical and material handling and installation, maintenance, and repair. So Darnell, you got both ends of the spectrum covered, whatever happens. But think about the changes in the last 2 years with AI coming on and the fear for losing jobs. Darnell, I would wager that even though you're younger than I am, both of us were hearing about how, those blue collar jobs, those are all going to go away. So you don't want to be working in a factory. You don't want to be a plumber, electrician, anything like that. You want to get a degree because that is going to guarantee you a lifetime of work. Yeah, well, it turned out to be just the opposite.
Yeah, totally. Now all the coders and attorneys are anxious, right? Because AI, the advent of AI is projected to eliminate some of those roles. And yeah, it's, my experience is that automation and evolving technology on the factory floor is not going to replace human capital, right? Like you're still going to need workers to service those machines, to oversee those robots. It's definitely not eliminated. It's eliminated some manual tasks that were repetitive. So some of the assembly line work, which is,
uninspiring at the least.
Uninspiring. So the work now that's being done is definitely more intellectually stimulating. These entry-level jobs require higher skills. And I think that's not what gets to the kitchen table. The parents think industry is like industry as it was in the early 80s during the third industrial revolution or even before, right? They don't realize that it's evolved significantly. I mean, there's a Yale Law, Kevin Zinger, who taught himself electrical engineering while he was a Yale Law student, founded Divergent 3D. If you ever heard of that company, it's the first ever digital factory, completely digital factory they just produced the first 3D printed hypercar. That doesn't mean that they don't have workers. The shift is on the design side and other digital skill sets, but you still need human capital. And we're not at a place where workers are going to be completely eviscerated from the labor market in advanced industry or the skilled trades. And these are the most secure jobs, and more so than the stuff that we've taken for granted, than the jobs that we expected to be most prosperous for us over the past 20 years or so.
Yeah, think about this, Carm, and all the shop owners out there who are watching and listening to this, that what AI and that artificial intelligence could bring to your technician on the shop floor, how that can increase their personal productivity. As Carm, as you know, I always say to my guys, I will send you to whatever training we can find so that I can pay you more money. I want to pay you more money, right? But you have to increase your skills, increase your capabilities. What AI could bring to the shop floor in a repair shop, rather than having guys spend hours on labor guides and looking up procedures, AI can blast through all that rote work quickly and get your guys to be producing even more, earning more money, business earns more money, everything gets more efficient. I am so excited by what's coming in artificial intelligence and automation for those hands-on workers that's really going to benefit.
So true. AI if you have the foundational knowledge, AI becomes an invaluable assistant to really help you be more productive as a worker. And business owners, like Andy, recognize that. And, the more training you get, the more, productive you are as an employee. And it's great.
That's the key, I think, guys, is the productivity that we're going to get by technology helping us. And, Andy, you and I could sit here and brainstorm, crystal ball, the power that AI can bring to OE service bulletins and being able to just pull the highlights of something that we are stuck with, we're stumbling on, and we need to, it could go on for a 3-hour diagnostics, or it could happen in 45 minutes. If we had the right tools to support us, you still need to have the brain power. You still have to have the common sense. You still have to have logic. You're not getting rid of these gray cells up here. But it would be so cool if we had that, if you will, ghost assistant kind of hanging with us, whispering, I think you need to do this now, Carm. It's coming. We all, every one of us who is deep in it knows it's coming. And at
Apex, it was before COVID, so it had to be 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I spoke with Chris Chesney about the potential for bringing VR, virtual reality training, right onto the shop floor. So my guys wouldn't have to go fly to California or down to Florida to go do training. And Chris told me, yeah, that's coming. We're working on something just like that. Well, then COVID hits, kind of throws everything off track. But the thing about AI is that it's moving so fast, it's increasing at such an exponential rate. It's going to force that stuff into existence, whether you like it or not. So why not take advantage of it? Grab that technology and put it to use to your benefit.
Darnell, what are the goals of your company?
Well, we want to be a bridge that helps employers connect with those hidden talent pools that I mentioned earlier in New Haven, in rural America, in our urban centers. Again, that experience in Appalachia made me think of East New York, Brooklyn. It made me think of Brownsville, Brooklyn. And why aren't we providing similar skills training opportunities to people in those communities so they can be self-sufficient, so they can accelerate into the middle class? We need to think hard about that. I know my grandfather, Edward Epps, he fought, in World War I and then came up from Northbrook, Virginia during the early part of the Great Migration with my grandfather. My great-grandfather, Edward Epps, came up with my grandfather, Samuel Epps. He wanted to pursue a career in advanced industry, but that was a different time in America, and there was discrimination even in the North, right? So some of the low-skilled jobs my grandfather fought in World War II, but had to open a produce stand in Harlem. He didn't find that skilled industry job that he was looking for, and ended up moving to Walt Whitman Houses, which was Fort Greene in Brooklyn at the time, before moving to Sheepshead Bay. And when he passed away in 1992, I kind of, he had the full military send-off, Calvinton National Cemetery, and I just felt like, he served his country honorably, and I wish, some of that, his contribution would have been honored in life, and that he would have been able to achieve the American dream and, be a homeowner, be a business, start his own contracting business or whatever he wanted to do. I think of those experiences. I think of him. I think of other people in the inner city who are desperately in need of jobs and skills training. And, I see Thurgood as being a bridge that can tap into those communities, whether it's rural or urban. One thing, the name Thurgood, if anybody remembers Thurgood Marshall, he believed in the right to industrial self-determination. He believed, in economic equality as well. And he was a legal engineer who spearheaded the arguments in Brown v. Board to overturn Plessy v. Ferguson. And, the first part that I machined at Lincoln Tech was a gavel. I got a gavel right there. So it inspired our logo too. But yeah, I just want to give everyone an opportunity to pursue a career in advanced industry and the trades that can accelerate them into the middle class.
So Darnell, I think about the State University of New York. I think about all of our great colleges, even, the 2-year colleges that have auto tech programs, be it diesel, welding. There's so many damn skilled trades schools out there, from Lincoln Tech and all the privates to the state run. Would those be in your list as you're working with students, finding them the workforce development monies, the scholarships if I'm in understanding, and Andy, tell me I'm wrong, because all that I'm hearing is that you are going to be one of the biggest advocates for skilled trades, doesn't matter what kind of skilled trades, knowing the critical need that we have.
Yeah, I would say SUNY would be. I actually meet with John King speak with him on August 13th, the chancellor of SUNY, about potentially having a Thurgood pilot there through some of their schools and certificate programs for tradespeople and skilled workers. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation and seeing what that looks like. But, one thing I recall from my time at Lincoln Tech was that most of the students that I met with and that I still meet with don't have LinkedIn profiles, right? They're not on LinkedIn. We wanted to design a platform that helps celebrate their achievements and highlights the contributions of skilled workers more broadly, because we realize that our mission is twofold. We want employers to be able to find the talent that they need, but we also want to change the public perception about what it is to work in the trades. And that's not going to happen on LinkedIn. It's not going to happen. To build out that community, people have to feel like it's for them and they're not second-class citizens. So this, mobile app is being built, and it has been built with that in mind, to be a forum for the skilled community, the skilled worker community and job seekers, in order to highlight the work they're doing, to inspire other people, so that the parents do know, right, what it looks like to work in Industry 4.0 today, what it is to be an automotive technician or, a diesel technician. Like, we want to break down those walls that industry has built up around it. So the great work being done in this space is more visible. And that will help, we hope, as we build out a larger community, we get more Gen Zers engaged on the platform, more students engaged on the platform, sharing some of the cool stuff they're working on or what they recently built. We think that's going to add a sense of pride to this and give, help build out that community in an organic way. So that's what we're working to do, in addition to being a recruitment platform for employers. But we're very early stage. We just launched, at Lincoln Tech in June. And then we launch at the Porter and Chester Institute tomorrow. But we want to be connected with the community college systems in the states, the New York, Connecticut, the ones that offer certifications, those where you can get 1 year kind of training you need to find that job at Electric Boat, or to work, or to go into the BMW STEP program or the Tesla Start program. So we want to work with those institutions. Austin Community College in Texas is doing a lot of great work down there as well to put emphasis on the trades. But yeah, we want to explore possibilities in New York.
What's the app all about, Darnell?
The app?
Yeah, you said we're launching an app.
Yeah, so we have an app. It's in the App Store. You can download it, and you can take earn-to-learn skills assessments, which are intended just to capture basic mechanical aptitude and tool knowledge, right? They're not very complex assessments. And I say earn to learn because users can earn $5 per assessment. It's a point system. You can take these assessments, verify these skills, accumulate tons of points, and then cash those points in and get gift cards and Dunkin' cards. And over time, we expect industry to pick up the cost of some of those assessments, to sponsor those assessments, but they eventually convert into badges as well. So when employers are looking for people with those particular skills or proficiencies, those jobs will filter through to the assessment takers. So, and then there's also the social component that I mentioned, where you can post content like you would on Instagram. So if you go on there now, you'll see, some of the competitors from Skills USA down in Atlanta who are competing in collision repair or mechatronics, posting some cool content from down there. And these were like high schoolers who were doing stuff that was like through the moon, right? They were so talented. And that's the kind of engagement among the youth and young people that we want to kind of capture on that social side to kind of really emphasize to others what's being done here. Skilled USA is such a great program, but not too many people knew about it. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, absolutely right. Is there going to be anything in there about automotive in the app?
Yes. So automotive technicians, there are some assessments on automotive for automotive technicians because it spans across all programs that are being offered at the schools we're working with. So
Great.
Lincoln Tech has an automotive technology program and a collision repair program. So you'll find assessments for diesel technicians, automotive technicians, very basic stuff though. So if I speak about machining, my trade, for example, you might take an assessment on precision measurement, how to use a micrometer, how to use a vernier caliper, or basic machining math, right? The idea is down the road to not just be a platform where students can take these assessments, which is somewhat duplicative of what they're already learning, but to be a platform where any job seeker, people with unconventional educational backgrounds who learned on their own, but who are very skilled, can take an assessment, verify certain proficiencies, and then seek a job in the career of their choosing.
What's the exact name of the app?
Thurgood, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm looking it up right now.
Thurgood Industries is the company name, and Thurgood, the app for workers. If you put it in the App Store, if you have an iPhone.
I just found it.
All right, great. Thanks, Andy.
All right. So here's the question, Andy. I'm sure it's burning in your head that we need to ask Darnell. Are you practicing law?
Yeah, right.
I'm not practicing law. I'm not actively practicing law. I mean, I plan to sit for the bar exam in February of 2025 because I've been doing a lot of work here in this space. And me doing that is more symbolic, I would say at this point, than an actual profession that I'm going to pursue. I do want to have the ability to litigate if there is a cause that I think is something very important. There are many people who can't afford attorneys who need representation, and if I can help someone, it doesn't necessarily have to be my career, and I could do some pro bono work on the side to help people who can't afford counsel. I would love to do that as well. But so it just gives me the discretion to act when the matter is important.
I don't know about you, Andy, but we need stuff like this happening in all of our skilled trades.
Absolutely. It's so important. Yeah. And in my shop, so we work with a group in Chicago called Crushers Club. One of my customers brought this group to the attention of actually the local Chicago chapter of the Porsche Club of Chicago.
Wow.
And this lady, Sally Hazelgrove, went into the middle of the South Side of Chicago and started this organization. I think it was around 2012. And basically, it's a haven for young men, for teenagers, young men in that neighborhood to come in, work on their schoolwork, make music, a safe haven for them in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago. And Crushers Club has become now a perennial beneficiary of several charitable organizations that I'm involved in Chicago. We actually were in the process of hiring one of the young men to come in and basically be our lowest rung of the ladder, get a starting position, which is how several of the people who are in upper positions now in my company, that's how they started out. They walked in, they started sweeping the floor, cleaning up. I just can't say that those kind of organizations, it's not a government program that's going to get this stuff done. Private industry and private individuals working together, that is what is going to really, really feed this pipeline, turn things around, provide opportunities.
And I think all three of us agree to that. The government's not going to be able to do the heavy lifting here. I think private industry and people like you guys, it's the only way we're going to be. I mean, the goal here for us, we need skilled tradespeople, period.
Mm-hmm. And if we could redirect some of that, the government funding is okay. If we could redirect a $300,000 college tuition into $10,000, $30,000 Lincoln Tech tuitions, I mean, doesn't that make a heck of a lot of sense?
It does. And we're going to ask Darnell to do all this heavy lifting for us.
That's why I wanted him on here, because Darnell his story should be spread across the entire country.
I appreciate that, Andy. Thanks.
Well, look at both, Darnell. We really do want to find out what's going on in chapter 2 and 3 and 4. So don't hesitate to keep us informed. If there's anything that we can do on the automotive side, Andy and all the great friends we have that are the pure leaders of this great industry, we would be more than happy to get on board with you and get the word spread. And I think one of the greatest challenges that we have is time, and all the responsibility that we have in running our great businesses is to get out and speak to the educators and to the parents. And I've been promoting the hell out of that, Andy, in the last 5 years. I mean, I can't do a show every week on it, but sooner or later, we as industry leaders have to jump over that line and knock on a school door and say, I got to come and talk to your people, to your students, to your counselors, to your superintendent. They've got to know that this essential skilled trade, everything that we do, Darnell, under your entire umbrella, but the essential skilled trade of automotive technology, it's one of the most critical things. You know, these people here, the buses that got them here, the teachers that drove here, the groceries you're going to buy today so you can come in again tomorrow, can't happen unless we have this essential skilled trade filled. And I'll guarantee you, Mr. Counselor, Mr. Principal, there's probably, let me see, how many in the school? Okay, I'll bet you there's 10% that are going to be so good at this, but they're not shown the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So true.
This was great. Thank you so much. Inspired by this. I appreciate you carving some time out for us, Darnell, because it looks like you're on a fast path to do a lot of great things. And Andy, for getting a chance to watch Darnell on one of the TV channels that you had and say, hey, Carm, I think we got to get Darnell on and do his thing. And so I appreciate you, Andy, and Darnell. Darnell Epps, recent Yale School grad and the founder and CEO of Thurgood Industries, who's going to be a driving force for skilled trade placements. And Andy Bizub, owner, Chief Strategy Officer, Midwest Performance Cars out there in Chicago. Thank you both for being on.
Thanks, Carm. Thanks, Andy.